And we're back. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great week so far.
Yes.
I'm one of your hosts, full-time Toady of the Culture and Cannabis Podcast. I'm here with my guy, Jeffrey Charles Coates.
JC Coates in the building. Happy 420.
Happy 420. JC, we have a fantastic guest today.
Yeah, we do have a fantastic guest. An amazing person in the community, Las Vegas, local, born and raised.
Born and raised, baby.
Doing amazing
Battle-born.
things. Yeah, battle-born. Doing some incredible things in the cannabis industry, fighting the good fight. The owner, co-founder of G5 Cultivation, Larry Smith, is in the building.
What's up, Larry? How we doing,
What up,
man?
How you guys doing?
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
That's all right. Thank you guys for having me, man. I really
Of course.
appreciate it. I watched the show. You know, we'll put the show on at the Grow and check you guys out. I know we watched the Hall of Fame guy.
Oh, yeah,
from Chicago.
Vincent Norman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vincent. He's fighting the good fight right now, and not that we have to dive right into it, but he's been posting a lot about what's happening in America with police brutality, the Black Lives Matter movement, and just overall, the overall framework of the systematic issues that America has.
Yeah.
Do you, Larry, as an African American in the cannabis industry, do you feel that ever?
Yeah, I actually do. Like, there's certain things that have been said about us that are just like, you're like, what the fuck did they just? Can I cuss?
Yes.
You said what the fuck you want on this show.
Like we had one purchaser who was gonna purchase from us, and then we went to the person, and they're like, well, I'm gonna hit you, I'm gonna get it to the purchaser, and he goes, we're not gonna order from those guys, they're gangsters. And I'm like, did you not fucking just see we fed like 300 families, and like, we're not Nino Brown, like, come on, man, get the fuck
And you have
outta
a
here.
multi-million-dollar cannabis license.
Exactly, yeah. I'm like, how do you get that, right? Like, come on, man. But so you get little subtle things like that we find kind of funny. Like, we're so far from that. Like, we're not even close, man. I mean, listen, cannabis has brought, the stereotypes go both ways. Cannabis has brought us, it's brought me together with people that I never would have thought I've ever been around in my life, So this plant it's universal, man. It's love.
It's
So
definitely magical, and I'm happy that you brought that up, because I feel like in the cannabis industry, we've really cut through a lot of barriers with race, sexuality, right? I feel like and gender in that sense too, right? We're one of the we have the highest amount of CEOs that are women in the industry. We have the highest rate of people of the LGBTQ community, and we employ a ton of people that are minorities as well. So I think that is a good part of the cannabis culture.
It's a good part.
The bad part is that it's owned by 90% of white guys who probably had a lot to do with the fact that the bills, like the 1993 crime bill, which put a lot of minorities in jail cells, in cages, over this plant that now brings people together.
Did Sisolak just let some people go?
Shout out to Sisolak. He just said that he all free, non-violent cannabis.
He said like small amounts. What does that mean?
I think it's anything under an ounce.
Under an ounce. Okay.
Or
That's a move in the right direction.
I mean, listen. Things could be a lot better.
100%.
I mean, an ounce it's not a lot. So if a guy had a QP, then quarter pound or a pound. I mean, but still, he shouldn't be in prison for that. You know, just my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of other worse things out there for these guys to. I mean, that we felt like growing up in the hood, like they should be targeting certain things, and they just look right past them and go. So, but shout out to Sisolak. I mean, I think that's dope for him even taking the step.
Yeah.
And this is a white male dominated industry. When we first started to get the license, you walked in the room and there would be, 300 people in there, and you see 4 black guys, and you're like, you're here for, okay, how you doing, brother? You're like, okay, I got you. So. And then, I feel like systematically they put things in place so groups of minorities can never get in the industry.
100%.
I mean, when you have to put a $250,000, basically bond up, and then you're like, well, I know guys that have it. They just have it under their mattress.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So it's like, because they are hustling, they're selling packs or doing what they're doing. But luckily for me, I had all my paperwork in order. I have other businesses, and I was able to show my income and do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the what is it with the $250,000 liquidity, right? Like
Yeah,
you had to
yeah.
show that it was.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you got to pay a lawyer to write your application. So you're talking all in probably $500,000 all said and done before you can start growing the weed,
Yeah.
which is an insane amount of money. And if you haven't checked out my Instagram post, it kind of touches on the fact that we're getting fucked by the Department of Taxation, like straight up just bending us over and just taking us to town, and it's ridiculous.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Man.
It hurts me, like,
Painful.
and so like this is something that I started noticing more and more as the more I work in the cannabis industry, and as someone that was doing ancillary services such as marketing, I didn't really understand the taxes. And as soon as we got into the game, that was the first thing I remember texting you being like, bro, we got to change something about this. And
Definitely need to change about that.
and it just needs a voice. And
I had the guy Jorge Pupos. He was a straight prick. And
the guy that got fired for taking money.
Yeah. I'd love to see him somewhere. He was a prick and a half. He was. I had made a big sale, and it was right on the crisp of going into another quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, so we owed a lot of taxes, and I didn't know. And Merva was like, "Hey, we owe this much." And I was like, "Well, I only put aside, $20,000." So we went and paid it, and then I told him the taxation. I'm like, I'll pay the other $20,000 like a couple of weeks. And the guy was cool. Then I get a call from Jorge, and he was. I felt like I was in a movie, like I'm gonna get you, sucker. Like he was shaking me down, like you need to have this money today.
Yeah,
and,
talk about gangsters.
Listen, man. He ended up sending some agents to the grow. I mean, he was a. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And
he got his.
Well, he hasn't got it yet, but I hope he gets it. And if he's watching, I hope you get it. I hope you get it. Karma's.
I like Larry.
Yeah,
I really like.
Listen, you got to keep it a buck. I mean, listen. I was on the phone telling this guy, like, yo, listen. If you can, give me like 2 weeks, and I'll have another payment for you. And this guy was a prick. He was like, no, you need to have it now. And I was going, listen. I'm telling you that I'm going to come pay it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like being rude, going, I don't have it. I'm not going to pay it. I'm like, like fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Like I understand how it was, and he was a total prick. So whoever he is, and I hope he's watching. I don't care at this point.
No,
I don't care.
good.
Yeah,
Call
yeah.
him
Like
out.
I mean, that's not cool. I mean, they should work with us. And
100%.
We're paying a lot of taxes, and we shouldn't be paying this much in taxes. I don't believe we should. And I think this is what makes the black market go even harder.
Yep.
So, and then you worry about these guys taking packs out the back door. I mean, this is the reason why. And they don't understand that. And they just, it kind of feels like they are gangsters and they want their money.
And it also gives like the legal market a bad name, because it feels like it makes it harder to do like the social programs with cannabis, right? Because you're getting taxed out the ass, right? And then it's like, oh, they're not doing anything for some of these minority groups. And it's like, it's because the state's taking all the profit,
all your fucking money.
Absolutely.
And I think the other issue is it's giving legal cannabis a bad name, in the sense that we're all now this corporate cannabis. It's like, we're not fucking corporate.
No, right.
We're none of us are corporate here.
Right.
Why we wouldn't be on this podcast smoking weed, talking shit right now if we were corporate. And
Right.
so I don't want to get classified as that. And I know there's a bunch of other people that are great people that are just looking to do good business in this industry that shouldn't be getting fucked either. There's some other people in the industry I'm happy you're getting fucked, but there's a lot of other people that I really like.
Yeah. Which is saying a lot coming from Tony. But so let's talk about G5.
Yeah.
Let's talk about G5.
Yeah, sorry not to.
Yeah. So when was G5 founded?
So we started in, I think it was 2014 is when we started the whole process. And I was actually in New York with 50 Cent. I was trying to pitch a deal to get 50 Cent to bring boxing. He had a boxing thing called SMS Boxing. And we were trying to get that brought back to Caesar's Palace. So I had a friend at Caesar's like, yo, if you can get 50 to bring boxing back. This is when he was kind of hanging with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, like, come on over here, like, and he was like, no. He didn't understand. He thought they were gonna, like, they wanted him to put up all the money, and Caesar's like, no. So I was going there, and a friend called, and he was like, yo, they're gonna start this program, and I was like, why are you calling me? Like, I'm not into cannabis. Like, the feds don't like it, and I like my freedom. I like being able to go to the movies when I want to go to the movies, and no one telling me, hey, tonight you're watching, Snow White. Like, like I really like my freedom, right? So then when I got back, my other company, I have a medical lien business, and we purchased paper. And so I went to one of the attorneys I was dealing with, and he said, yo, I'm going to put in a license. And I was thinking, this fuck is smart, right? So I know if he was putting in one, then I figured, you know what? Let me check it out. But then reality kind of hit me, and I said, I just can't do it just for that. And I started going around to, like, Northern Cali. Colorado was the hot thing at the time. Yep. So we went there a couple of times.
What year is this?
Like maybe 2015.
Okay.
So I'm starting
very early.
Yeah, because I wanted to see, like, listen, man, I don't believe the hype all the time. Like, when we went to Colorado, like, we were meeting people who had made a lot of money, but I wasn't interested in those people. I was interested in the people who weren't making any money, because I wanted to see what they were doing wrong. And then I started meeting patients, and that's what really kind of got me to say, okay, I'm all in. I started meeting patients that were, cancer, HIV. And then I had a very good friend of mine who passed away, unfortunately, from the opiate addiction. Yeah, and that was the last straw. And I was like, I begged him, man, smoke the cannabis, man. It's better for you, man. It'll ease your tension. And he just kept messing with the pills and eventually succumbed to that. But that was it for me. That was like, all right, this is the purpose. Like, I don't want to just, listen, I like to make money. I don't want to worship it. And I knew everyone, oh, cannabis, money. And then now that everyone's in it, they realize, with Jorge taking all your money, you don't get all that money, right? So it's like
I got Devo picking up cash every week.
So G5, and then it became more of a calling because, like I said, you walk in a room and then there's not a lot of African Americans in the room.
Yep.
There's, and you kind of look around and go, okay, damn. And then people are like, good, you're in, like, finally, like, and then you kind of they kind of push you as the voice of the people almost. And you're like, wait, hey, I just want to be a good business. Don't get me wrong. It's nice that we're African American, but at the end of the day, I still want to be considered a really good business, right? Yeah. Don't define me because I'm an African American and cannabis. Like, we want you to like the product. We really want you to like that portion, not just because we're African American.
I'm really happy you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, like, do you ever feel that you have to have, like, as a white male that I just started a small business, I feel like I have no responsibility to lead the path for other guys that look like me to get a small business.
I have 100% responsibility.
Yeah, and so I think that's like people don't really realize that you have all this extra pressure because you're like you said, you're only one of 4 African Americans in the Nevada cannabis industry.
Yeah, so for us it's funny because the DMs are full of, can you send us some packs to North Carolina or Atlanta? And we're like, yo, we can't do that. Yeah. And then there's a side of us that realizes, like, we don't want to be on Eyewitness News 8, the investigative journal. We want to. There's a responsibility. There's a lot of people that we know look up to us in this industry, and so we have to really do everything by the right way. And we really take our compliance very seriously. And I hear the stories out there, the things that are going on, but we don't even. It's not even a thought for us. It's like, listen, we want to do good, clean, honorable business. We represent not only ourselves, our families, but I'm born and raised here, so I don't want to make the state of Nevada look bad on any level. You know what I'm saying? It's a privileged license, and I'm privileged to have one, and I don't want to mess that up. I can hear it now in the barbershops. Man, this motherfucker had a license to sell weed and he fucked it up. Dumb motherfucker. Right? So it's like, you're sitting back like, all right, well, I don't want to be that guy. So we do have a responsibility, and we can't worry about what other people are doing. We're trying to make good, clean medicine for people in this community, in this culture, and we're trying to keep the culture. And that's what we love about what you guys like. I've been dealing with you for a while. Yeah. And even back then, we were trying to sponsor our man, it's a couple bucks. It wasn't a lot, but we felt like these guys are moving in a positive direction. And, but when you got Jorge taking all your money, I want to steal this Jorge guy a long time ago. Trust me.
I remember that. I think at that time.
Tell the story.
Well, I think this was around.
You were early. You guys.
Yeah,
You
this
went.
was 2016. 2016.
Maybe a little later. You and what's his name?
Trey Borders.
Trey Borders. My guy Trey.
Yeah.
They came and they were doing stuff downtown. They wanted to do some stuff, and I had just seen them. They just kept moving and moving, and so I wanted to help. So I reached. I think Trey reached out to me, and I said, "Look, man, I don't have a whole bunch right now because we're building.
Of course,
we don't have any banking. So they asked for a couple bucks. It wasn't nothing. I gave it to them, but I love the movement. Like I think these guys were genuine. They weren't like phony. And meeting JC, really humble, like kind of soft spoken. I was like, all right, I like this guy. He's fighting, but in a different way. And so I was like, let's roll, man.
Yeah, he's a smooth criminal. This guy right next to me.
Silent killer.
He just sneaks right in and then just takes. He's like, oh, you're good at what you do. I'm just gonna bring you on the team.
Right. But no, you guys got a good movement, man, and we appreciate that you guys have the culture. I mean, I went to a couple events, and I went to one downtown. You guys threw at the Commonwealth, I think it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was nice, man.
Yeah.
No problems. Everyone's having a good time. And I thought, man, these guys got something. So
I went to school for marketing at UNR, and one of the most important classes that I ever took is called like inclusion marketing, where the whole idea of it was like, okay, whenever you do something, think about everyone that's not in the room, like people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, genders, whatever it is, sexuality, whatever that is. And I think that JC since day one has thought about that, not even knowing that he was doing that. And so when I came on the team, I was like, dude, you got it. Like, because it's me, JC, and Chuck. And Chuck's, Asian American, and we're two white guys. So, like, for us to be, like, trying to push this culture, it kind of might come off the wrong way. But JC's done a great job making sure that everyone is thought about when we make a move.
So I will tell you this funny story, and it's a racism. It's reverse racism on my part. Okay. Right? So not knowing the cannabis. This is what I mean, but I was learning, and so we went to Colorado to a Cannabis Cup, and we walk into the place. There's people everywhere. It doesn't matter the nationality, and I see these two white guys, and I zoom in on them instantly, and I go, "They're in the fucking KKK." There's no doubt in my mind, right? Literally, and I'm not a guy who thinks that way. For some reason, these two guys stuck out. But the plant taught me a very valuable lesson that day. As we're walking around, we go to these stations, and people would roll up. And I pull up at the station, and I'm rolling something up and trying my best to get it right. And the two guys that I said that about were sitting right next to me. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing, partner?" And I'm like, "Partner, damn, that's not a good word." And then he's like, so we look up, we get to conversate, and I go, "Where you from?" He goes, "Indiana." I'm like, "Oh, fuck it. Yes, absolutely, right?" So he's rolling up, and after he's done rolling up, he goes, "I'm here with my dad, my father. We can't believe that we can really do this." And he hands me the joint. He goes, "You blaze first." And I was so embarrassed because here I pegged this guy off as like these bad guys, and I put him in a category. And here's the young man telling me to blaze up. And I thought to myself, wow, look what the plant taught me, to not prejudge, to not do anything. Here this guy is handing me a joint, and we're blazing together, we're talking. And I end up telling them what I thought, and they just laughed. They're like, man, we kind of get that. So
from Indiana, so it's like, come on.
But as I took away from that day, it's something I'll never forget, because it was the plant teaching me that no matter what color you are in the race, no matter what it is, the plant. I mean, I've thought about the smoke sessions I've had with people now, and it's like, man, I wish I could film all of those, because you would see the variety of people, no matter what they are, religion, race, color, creed, doesn't matter, man. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about the plant. It was a real serious lesson for me, and I said, you know what? You don't ever think like that again. That's just not cool,
No, that's so awesome that you say that, because it is powerful, right? It's like, because that's not what you don't think of that as a stereotyping story. Like, you don't think about it the opposite way, in the sense of like, oh fuck, this guy's these guys are KKK or whatever they Blue Lives Matter, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. But and so it's interesting because our third podcast was with David Tran, that owned Dope Magazine, and he talked about that too. He said the reason why he fell in love with it, because every time I would smoke weed, it'd be with different types of people. People from all nationalities and genders, and I think that's what's so beautiful about the plant. And then even into culture and cannabis, that culture was built at culture and cannabis.
that was the one thing that I fell in love with too, was the people. You know, I did events for a long, long time and built communities around music and stuff like that. And the cannabis, when we started building that community, the people, just all kinds, literally all kinds. You know, and it's a special thing that the plant transcends skin color for sure. You know?
And that's the shitty part. Going back to taxation, it's like you're taking out the special, like how special, like the first time I got into the industry, I just remember how special this was. Like this is so dope. I'm 21 years old, fresh out of college, and I'm in the cannabis industry. Not a lot of people can say that. And then as you come on, you're like, fuck, this place is, it's a treacherous market, right? There's I said this, rats, vultures, a snake on this cannabis road that we're on, and it's shitty that we get screwed like that, because that specialness of the plant doesn't get passed down as much as it should be to the bud tenders and the consumers.
I'm so glad you're saying all of this about the rats. Oh, man. Thank God it's you, man. Finally, man. Good. Because if I say it, I'm like an angry black guy, or things aren't right for me. But coming from you, I'm over here like,
I'm the angry Italian guy in the room all the time.
You know I'm Italian, though, right?
I could see.
We're Italian.
Yeah. I'm Sicilian. I know.
I did the Ancestry.com, and it came back. I was 54% Italian.
No way.
Yeah. So
my sister did it. She came back at 98.5% Italian. So I'm gonna claim that. I'll take that W. So you get the license. You start growing. When you start doing sales, how is that? How is that perceived? Like you said, you obviously brought up the story about being called. I don't even know if we were on camera when we told that story about the gangster story.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, listen. I understand that some people have cliques, and some people are clicked up, and groups are. And we started off a little late because we couldn't get our power into our building. We built our building from scratch, and we couldn't get the power in time. And this is the time where I had to go and testify about this, but they were going to make the cutoff to where, like, that, I think it was July 1st. If you didn't have your license, you're going to have to wait till January 1st. And I'm like, that's BS. I'm like, it's not my fault that my building isn't up. And so we were behind, and other people had already had the start. They were already kind of going, the big money guys. And once they took off, it's like the head start for them. And so it's hard to get in, and people don't know you. And then you have these guys, some of these purchasers, man, that don't know shit about weed. I mean, I mean, literally, we would, and they're not around now, the guys that were there, but some of them would just, it would be crazy, man. You would sit there and go, this is pretty good cannabis, and then your test would say so. Then it got to the point where, like, I remember I was so frustrated in getting our cannabis sold. We got like a 28% on a 28 to 30%. It was close to 30, and I had a bud that was bigger than my hand. And I remember sending that to to the owners and going, you don't want this? Like, come on, you got to be kidding me. This is on the streets. This would have been gone already.
Yeah, 10 times already.
Yeah, like, come on, you guys are killing me. Like, so, but eventually, you start building the relationships, and you say, listen, give me a shot. Like, let me get it in there and go. And then, by me being from Vegas, that helps me because I'm born and raised. I know quite a few people. We're pretty active in our community. And so that started helping when people started to buy. So, we're putting something on the shelf for G5, and people are like, yo, I'd be like, yo, it's over there. And they'd be like, okay. And then before you know it, a pound is gone in like 4 days, 3 or 4 days. And they're like, oh, hold on a second. We don't like promote you guys.
Yeah.
Like, how is this happening? So then we've kind of built our base up that way. And it's worked for us. Now we're starting to get the calls, and people are calling us going, yo, we want your shit in here.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously, it's taking the time. We're in a desert. It's taking us some time to get it right, get the good genetics in, because for us, that's what it's about now. It's about the best genetics. I mean, you can have really good growers. If your genetics are shitty, it's what it is. So,
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, and that's another big thing is people really don't understand, as a consumer, don't understand what it takes to grow a really good cultivated genetic, right? That's years and years and years of work of people tender love and care. Sweat, blood, and tears into one single genetic.
And then like to put it into this environment, right?
Yeah, to bring it from most likely a gorgeous California environment in Southern California and Northern California to the disgusting heat which we have here in Nevada.
Or just a small indoor room to take
true.
it to scale, right? The industrial size. It has to be
Everything has to be done proper.
Yeah, it has to be done.
Yeah, no, it's a. So listen, we feel like we've gotten some really good genetics. The other issue for us is testing. The testing is really is pretty bad here. So I'll give them a shout out. We deal with NVCan Labs. They're pretty good. I've kind of been with them the whole time. I like the people that they're very honest. But I see the results of other people, and it's like, and it is frustrating to look up and have like a we've grown this on the same table, same lights. Room temperatures probably vary in different spots, but it's like on one test result we get 27%, and then we get a 21% on the same strain. That's kind of frustrating. And then what happens is on the dispensary side, they beat us up for that. So
of course.
So it's like, oh yeah, 21%. I can't give you the same as that.
Yeah.
Like it's the same plant, man. So that's the frustrating part for me, and a lot of consumers don't understand that the terps are a very big part.
Yeah.
And so we get based off of price. Sometimes it's because of the test results. You have a bad test result, you have a 17, 18, 19%, and people are like, oh, no, I can't pay you that price. And, you're like, well, hold on a second. I've smoked some 17%. It's pretty fucking good. It's actually better than the 30% I just produced.
100%.
Right? And so you're like, what the fuck, man? So it's like, I wish we could come up with a better solution on educating patients on results.
Well, I think it was that, going back to what you said, is that at the beginning of the start of the Nevada cannabis industry, it wasn't educated people that we have, that some places have today. Not all places.
Right.
We still have some fucking idiots in the industry.
Right.
But it was, oh, my son used to grow weed in NorCal.
Right.
He knows a ton about weed.
Right.
Like, no, dude, he had one plant at his frat house that died. Like, he has no fucking clue about weed.
Right.
And so you put him in the position, and to him he goes, oh, higher THC gets me more fucked up. And that's not the case at all.
It happened to me today at a dispensary. I was at a dispensary, and she's like, oh, I'll just grab you the one that has the highest percentage.
And it's like, I don't want that. I want the fucking ones with the better terps. And that's the issue, is that from day one in the Nevada cannabis industry, it's different in some other markets, right? Obviously, California has some of that. Denver has some of that. But in Las Vegas specifically, it's because we're a big time town, right? So it's like, oh shit, that one has 33%. That's gonna send me to outer space. It's like, no, it's not, dog, and it's probably gonna suck actually. And those test results were probably bought.
I'd be embarrassed if I had a 34, 35%. I wouldn't even want to put that up.
Because it's like, how is that even possible?
Well, here's and that's the thing. That's the good thing about like I tell my staff when the testers come in, they're not allowed to speak to them because we don't. Like I've seen emails from other people, or I've seen people like. They'll come in and go, well, this guy wanted me to do this, or that guy. You're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, so for us, we look at it this way. We to put it in perspective, on the testing side, we look at it as though this is medicine. And when I say medicine, like I know people who have lupus that smoke, and I'm not saying we're going to cure them for what we have, but if I can make their day better. Right? So if we can give them a good product, and instead of their pain being a 10 or 8, we can get it down to a 3 or 4 or 2, right? Then we've done our job, right? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that's why we don't want to cheat anybody when it comes to testing. Just give us our fair result, and that's what I like about NVCan Labs. They don't she shoots it to me straight, good or bad. We failed tests. Hey, it failed. All right, thank you. I don't know what we did wrong. We'll figure it out and go. But I mean, it just, once again, I know I've heard, and I don't know how true these are, but I've heard the stories of people paying to get higher results. I mean, that's just not right,
Yeah, no, and and the thing is, and I don't even think it's like, yo, I'm gonna give you 10K and the rest of the year I'm gonna get 30%. I think it's more like, yo, I'm gonna go out on my boat this weekend. Next weekend we're gonna go out to eat. The weekend after that, I'm gonna take you to a show on the Strip. And so I think it just becomes this personal relationship where, especially the smaller labs, it's like, well, tell the technician just fuck up the number and put a 3 instead of a 2.
Right. And I mean that just doesn't help the client though.
And it doesn't help anybody in the industry at all.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not good. Then I applaud the state though for catching those guys
who
are
going around now.
Who are going around to retest it to make sure. I mean, that's what for us, man. We don't want to play those games. We don't want to get caught up. I don't want our product on any news briefings for something that that we've done. We want to be honorable and fair. We want to really make sure that this can help people who consume. It's just that simple for us. It's not a game. It's not a fake thing. It's not like, we all want to make money. Of course we do, but we don't want to sell our soul in the process to do it.
Yeah, me and JC had a full conversation about that, about not selling our soul for money, because it's like, fuck the money. Like, I'm going to do what I like, and I'm going to be happy about it, and the money will follow.
When you die, no one's going to go to your funeral and go, hey, how much money did he have?
Yeah, they don't put that on your tombstone.
They're not doing it, trust me. I've never went to a funeral like, hey, Mrs. Johnson, come here. How much money did Leroy have in his account? Please let me know. Like, right? And that's what, and those are the values that I've taught my son and my daughter. Is like, come on, like, listen, I always joke with them and say some of the best events in my life, the top 5 have nothing to do with money.
Yep.
0. Right? So it's like, like when you put those things in perspective and you understand, like, the money for most is just a means to do more things. I mean, does it make it better because you have a $200,000 watch on? I mean, not really. You can still be an asshole with that, so it doesn't make it, it's how you treat people.
Do you, last question I want to ask you, do you, and this has nothing to do with cannabis, as a father, what do you tell your kids about being, because you're successful, you've done very well for yourself. What is that conversation about with your kids about that, right? Like, in the sense of, I've done well, but that doesn't really mean anything for you, or what's that look like?
So me and little Larry go through this, there was a point in time where, like, he would come, we're going to do this. I'm like, hey, listen. There's another saying that I always tell him is that, I tell both of them, I have a son and a daughter, Taylor and Larry, and I tell little Larry, when you die, you're going in a box by yourself. And so, like, he'd be like, huh? I'm like, I don't go in there with you. Or when I die, you don't come in the box with me. So you have to kind of live your own path and your own truth. And it doesn't, money's not everything. So, like, they've been instilled that, listen, we want to make the money. We're just not going to worship it. Listen, will it get us better seats at the Lakers game? Yeah. But I've sat in the very top and had just as much fun as I've had, sitting in the lower level seats. And once you get them to understand that, and success is defined a lot of different ways. For me, it's not about financial. I went to the bank one day. I was betting sports. Before I did this, that was one of my main things, betting sports. I remember I won $100,000. I went to the bank over here at in like Spring, what is it called? The Chinatown.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I go in the bank. I got $100,000. I'm pushing it through, and the guy goes, "You win betting?" I go, "Yeah." I mean, he's from gambling. I go, "Yeah, I won sports." And he said, "Good for you." And I look up, and he pulls out about $500,000 and pushes it through. I go. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, you son of a... He goes, yeah, me, Baccarat. I'm like... And it made me think back to the old Jedi ways. I'm a Star Wars fan, and it talks about how there's always a bigger fish in the sea. So no matter what you think you have or you think you're doing, there's always somebody that's propelling and doing things better. And I teach them that in the reality of this universe, we're just a tiny grain of sand. And keep that in perspective, no matter how well you think you're doing. If you're not helping people, to me, that's the real success, is how many people around you can be well and do well.
Yeah.
It's the Jay-Z effect. I mean,
100%.
Dame made millions, Cam made millions, Lior made millions. Beans would tell you if he wasn't in his feelings. I mean, he had so many millionaires that, I want to be that way. I want to have people around me that are positive, and that's the real success for me, to be honest with you.
That's really cool. Wow, what a great way. I mean,
incredible.
Larry the Prophet. People. Jesus. Listen, Larry, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
I wish the show was longer than 30 minutes. I could talk to you for hours, I feel like. We're definitely going to bring you back on.
Tk you, man.
Talk about more stuff, because I feel like...
to you guys.
Thank you.
Respect,
We appreciate it. Larry, where can they find you, G5? Where can they find their products?
So G5, we're in a couple places. We're in Reef. We're in all the Reef stores right now. We're in Hardin. We're in Silver Stage Wellness. We're in Thrive, all the Thrives. We're in Sahara Wellness. And we have a couple other places that we're in talks with now. But I hope I didn't forget anybody. I don't want them to be pissed off.
Sorry.
But no, we're there. We're moving. You can find us on G5 Cultivation. It's on Instagram. And check us out, man. We just try to keep it a buck with everybody and keep it cool. And we're looking forward to doing some stuff with you guys in the future.
Yeah, same. Really
Go get that pink mink.
Go get that pink mink.
Pink mink, yeah.
Awesome. JC.
What's good, man?
So I mean, we've been working still. I said this. I feel like I'm saying this every week. We're always fucking working, obviously. But we got some dope shit coming up. One, we go tomorrow 4 a.m. to my favorite city. Yeah. City of Reno.
Going up
the
north.
biggest little town. # Reno as fuck.
We're getting the fuck out of Vegas.
We're getting the fuck out of Vegas. We're going to Reno. So listen, if you guys are listening, you guys up in Reno, please hit us up. We're trying to hang out. We're trying to take some photos. We're bringing up product. We're going to be doing a ton of culture food episodes. I think we have 10 planned. I've crushed it. Give myself a little pat on the back. Chuck's coming with us. Joy's coming with us. Dee might make an appearance. The whole crew's going to be there. And we're going to have a great time. So if you're going to be up in Reno, please check us out. We've been selling weed too.
We've been selling weed all over, man.
Oh, what have we been doing?
So Nuwu just called. So we're gonna send Nuwu some new packs, some half ounces. 91 came up there next week.
I think we got some new. We dropped some new ready to rolls over at Acres in the next couple days.
Acres is gonna get fully restocked. Curaleaf on the Strip and Acres.
And for those that don't know, Bloom is one of our clients,
yes.
and we're also at Bloom Reno and Bloom DI, and
they have the best deals.
Literally the best deals.
The best deals in all of the land.
All of the land. All of Nevada. Their pre-roll deals right now is insane. You could get, I think it's 6 pre-rolls for $40 and 13 pre-rolls for $80. And every day there's a different deal in each category. So that means if you only buy edibles on any given day, you can walk in and get an edible deal. And I don't know how many places can say that.
That's great. And don't we have like 2 8s for $60
on
Tuesdays?
Every day you can go in and get a quarter for $60.
Culture and cannabis.
And I think the next couple days we're gonna do some more high end stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
nice.
And we're gonna be getting some new brands in there. We just got, we got some new brands in there. So we've been rocking and rolling.
Those Moxie carts are fire.
Oh yeah, Moxie just dropped over there. Mm-hmm. They got the Fuse all over there. Hopefully we'll have that G5 pretty soon.
right. That's right. DI in Maryland. Go check that store out.
If you're in Reno, we're gonna be at Bloom Reno a lot. So come over there. Come say what's up. You can use our discount codes as well at both places. You can use JC Coates over at DI. You can use Full Time Tony up in Reno. So
save some cash.
Take that 10% off, and that's about it. Be on the lookout for the new Culture is Food episode on Saturday with my restaurant, Smoke Burgers and Barbecue. And I think that's it.
That's a wrap.
You can find me on Instagram at fulltimetony, jc.coates.
That's it.
And that was the podcast for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next Thursday. Peace.